Putazos y Pendejadas Podcast.
What's going on, boxing heads? PYP Boxing is back. I'm David De Leon, and he is Mark Salinas, and we are going to discuss the WBO and IBF unification fight between Emanuel Navarrete and Eduardo Nunez. Mark, real quick, what did you think of the fight on Saturday, Navarrete versus Nunez?
It was an exciting fight. It was a one-sided war, and it was entertaining. I know it was one-sided. It was very entertaining. And also, man, we got to see a new and improved Navarrete, man.
I always had this one thing about Navarrete, just consistency. When it's not a big fight and it's just one of those stay busy matches or some kind of mandatory, he can be caught slipping sometimes. He's not the most disciplined guy out of the ring. But when Navarrete is on and he shows up for these big moments, he is on. Navarrete wins this fight by stoppage, Mark. He forces the referee to put a halt to the bout in the 11th. He closed and cut Sugar Nunez's right eye. Like you said, the fight was a little more one-sided than we expected. It was supposed to be one of those classic Mexican wars. Some were even expecting a Barrera versus Morales type of battle. And I think it did kind of live up to being a war. It was just a one-sided war. Nunez really tried to win this fight. He was just outclassed by who I think is the best 130-pounder in the world right now. Just some thoughts on the fight. I thought Navarrete looked great. You could tell he took this fight seriously. I believe they mentioned he even hired a nutritionist for this camp to help him get to 130 pounds. Navarrete's long reach was a huge advantage for him as he was able to batter Nunez at a range where Nunez could not land in return. And even with that long reach, Navarrete was still able to fight very well on the inside too. We've said this before, Mark. Navarrete does everything wrong very well. He was just too versatile for Nunez, whose biggest issue to me was experience at this level. Navarrete has fought through some of the best competition from 122 pounds to 135. I also thought Nunez fought the wrong fight in those early rounds. He tried to box Navarrete from the outside, but he wasn't active enough to force Navarrete into exchanges in order to counter him. We'll say this about Nunez, though, Mark. I was surprised by some of his footwork. I'd not seen that in some of the tape that I was reviewing of him. He moved on the back foot pretty well. It was just that Navarrete's ability to dart in and out of range was so much better. And you have to give props to Nunez for his chin and his bravery. He was taking some brutal combos from Navarrete, who's a dangerous puncher. I know it was the 11th round, but they probably saved Nunez from some long-term damage in that stoppage. Do you have a problem with the stoppage?
No, I don't. That eye looked really, really bad. Chavez was begging everybody for them to stop that.
That's right.
It looked really, really bad. He couldn't even open it. When you have it shut like that, something's wrong. I believe they should have stopped it earlier. There was no way he was going to win that fight. Navarrete was in a zone, man. He was in a zone. I agree with you. I think Sugar Nunez started way too late. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know why they changed up the plan. He rose to fame quickly. He got to a title and won it. So he was a title holder doing the same thing. Why reinvent the wheel in the biggest fight of your life? I don't understand that. Then he was behind, far behind, and then you're trying to play catch up with a volume puncher, and this volume puncher is a legend. In my mind, I don't think it's crazy to say that this performance solidified him in the Hall of Fame, Navarrete. So don't count Nunez out. I think he had, just a more experienced guy in front of him. He's not that bad. He just had a bad game plan coming in. But what a performance from Navarrete, David.
I must say, I don't see anyone that can beat Emanuel Navarrete at 130 pounds. And maybe some people would disagree with that because we saw a man who might have a shot at doing that. O'Shaquie Foster was in attendance that night, and he has expressed a desire to fight Navarrete in a unification fight next. Mark, I like Shaq. I think Shaq is a damn good fighter. I believe he will give Navarrete a real good fight. but we've seen Shock fight a lot. I know you and I have both watched him. And there's one major weakness in his game. He has the IQ. He's got solid power. He's got toughness. He's got that clutch gene. But his one weakness to me, Mark, is his output. He's not busy enough. I don't see how he would be able to keep up with Navarrete or keep Navarrete off of him. I think back to the Rocky Hernandez fight they had in Cancun. Hell of a fight. But we all saw how Rocky's pressure and activity pushed Shock to the brink. Shock won that fight by 12-round stoppage. He was behind on the scorecards, and he was very close to losing that fight. Navarrete is a bigger, stronger, more versatile version of Rocky Hernandez. I think Navarrete wins that fight. How do you see it?
I see it closer than that. O'Shaquie Foster is a very, very experienced fighter. Going back to that fight you were talking about, Rocky Hernandez, man, he had a tough time with that guy. It was an all-out war. I think it was a good thing for him, man. He got all types of experience in that fight. And since then, I think it's helped him. So O'Shaquie Foster is one of those type of fighters that just has that ability to make his opponent fight at his pace, a very slow pace, a very methodical pace, not a lot of output between both of them. He'll make you fight his style. And if somebody's going to do that, nobody can, tame the wild horse that's Navarrete. But I think O'Shaquie Foster has the experience to do it. I think he gained a lot of it in that Rocky Hernandez fight. And we saw what he did in his last fight against a hell of a fighter. And he pitched a shutout. He does have the ability to beat him. I see it 60-40 right now. And look, that's a very, very makeable fight. That's a very makeable fight. It can happen. Foster doesn't have a dancing partner. Navarrete didn't take too much punishment. I'd say they make it right now. They're both champions. You'd unify, or you can go to 135. There's 2 vacant spots there. I think he's competitive enough to beat those bigger guys up there, David.
I don't like the way Navarrete looked at 135. I did not like the way he looked at 135. I think those guys are bigger, and he loses one of the advantages he has at 130, his size and his reach. He'll still have a reach advantage over some fighters at 135, but I don't like him at 135. The scenario I would like to see play out goes like this. Shockey Foster takes on the winner of the fight between WBA 130-pound champion James Dickens and Anthony Cacace. That fight's on March 13th, so it's not far away. It's very soon. Navarrete can then settle the score with Filipino Charlie Suarez, who he has unfinished business with. We all saw how that fight ended. There's some controversy there, and I think Suarez deserves another shot at Navarrete. We can then get a match for an undisputed champion at 130 pounds. And here's the crazy part. In the entire history of the four-belt era, there has never been a male undisputed champion at 130 pounds. And think about all the great fighters that have fought there. Not Mayweather, not Pacquiao, not Shakur. Navarrete still has the desire of being a 4-division world champion. That's your vision. There's only been 4 fighters from Mexico that have reached that milestone, but no one in history has ever become undisputed champion at 130 pounds. That's a special kind of history that Navarrete can make in just 2 or 3 fights. That's what I would like to see.
And that's another, boxing fans' dreams right there, matchup. A lot of the Philippines, they deserve that fight. That I know the Filipino fans are desperately hoping that fight happens again. It'd be a big money fight for them too, man. It'd be a big deal. Boxing fans want to see that one.
You know what, Mark? This just came to me right now. After the fight with Navarrete, they asked him if he would like to be on the Canelo card this September called Mexico versus the World. What about putting him and Charlie Suarez on that card, Mexico versus Philippines? It fits the theme perfectly. It's going to be in September, so there's plenty of time for both guys to get ready for that. I think that is the perfect fight to put on that card. And I'm going to look at the camera right. Turkey, you spent a lot of money on guys that didn't live up to the expectations. telling you right now, you pay Navarrete to be on a Riyadh season card, you and boxing fans will both get their money's worth. Make it happen. I think they should make it happen. Get Navarrete on Mexico versus the world. Moving on, Mark. Let's talk about the undercard. We had rising 140-pound prospect Emiliano Vargas stop the Argentinian Agustin Quintana in what was a very good test for the young Vargas. It looked like a bad stoppage to me, Mark. I know Quintana was busted up, but the ref tried to save him unnecessarily. What do you think of that stoppage?
I believe it was unnecessary. One, the kid deserved a shot to finish out the fight. Maybe he would have won. Two, you continue it. Vargas would have gotten more rounds and more experience. He was in no danger. He was controlling that fight. Maybe he would have stopped him on his own, and that would have been big too. So all around, bad decision, in my opinion. I feel the kid deserved the extra rounds, and you only get more work on the Vargas side, and there was no danger there.
Right. Yeah, I don't think Quintana was going to win that fight. But to your point, there is a bit of a moral victory going the distance with a young stud like Emiliano, who had stopped 6 out of his last 7 opponents going into that fight. But it was a good, tough performance by Vargas and Quintana. They both put up some good rounds there. If we were to create a list, Mark, of who has the potential to become the next young star of the sport, El General has to be at the top, if not near the top of the list. Agree or disagree?
I agree, man. He had a hell of a performance this weekend. And it was that type of performance that makes me believe he's ready now, David. He's ready right now. Put him up against the top 15 guys. He looked fantastic. And you're not going to be a prospect every single year, man. Let's go. I think he's got, the smile, the left hook, the clean cut, no tattoos. He's a star. He's the golden goose. You can make big money with him. He's got that Ryan Garcia factor, doesn't matter if he wins or loses. So I think he's ready now. There's not a lot of danger. Put him up against the top 15 guy, make him, be a main event by the end of the year. He was co-main right now, but I think he's ready now. None of these guys that we don't know anymore. Let's put him up against a more dangerous guy, David, a top 15 contender. I want to see him go now.
All right. I got to push back a little bit there, dude. I mean, I agree with most of what you said, but I mean, he's 21 years old. There's no rush. They already have stated, listening to some of his past fights, they've already said, the people that are in charge of his career, they are not going to make the same mistake that they did with his dad, Fernando. They're not going to try to rush him too soon. There's no need to put him in with bigger names yet. Get the kid some more experience so he knows how to handle himself in the later rounds of a tough fight. Let him get that experience under his belt. I mean, he's the model young fighter that you want. He's 21, but he carries himself like he's in his 30s. He has the focus and maturity and discipline that his brothers and even his Hall of Fame father lacked. This was a competitive fight, though, Mark. I thought Vargas, for all of his polish, still had some grit in him. You see the quickness, you see the boxing skills, you see the elusiveness. But when it came down to it, Mark, Vargas was able to grind his opponent down and really make it a bloody fight. I mean, it's in his blood to really get down and gritty. So he has a little bit of that El Feroz in him as well. If there was one thing that kind of bothered me, I hope he gets away from that Philly shell guard. There's a certain way you're supposed to use that guard. Many young fighters just don't use it right. He was getting caught with his left hand down way too much. But overall, it was a good test for the young fighter. He got some rounds in. He broke down his opponent. It was a hell of a card on Saturday for DAZN.
And I don't think his dad teaches him that either. I think, these kids, they grew up
young
in
guy
that
thing, man.
Mayweather area. They grew up in that Mayweather area, and that's the way they slap boxed on the streets. So, this younger, they got that Mayweather in them. So it's just something that you need to teach him out of, but that's a teaching thing.
Well, that was a hell of a card on DAZN this Saturday. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, check us out on the next videos. PYP Boxing. We're signing out. Peace.